By having Facebook, and this is the first time I have actually been on Facebook, where I can actually talk to the Australian people. So I'm listening to what you have to say, and I'm putting up my comments, and you're hearing it straight from me, and not via the media with the biased reporting. What I found is concerning Australians the highest on the list is actually cost of living. Now, I've got grave concerns about the escalating costs, especially to do with the electricity costs, this whole thing about climate change, but also what I want to tackle now is about the housing. Australians are finding it unaffordable to own their own home. My kids are. Extremely hard, even to pay the rents, even when you're renting a place. Where do you find the money? And this is the biggest concern. What I have raised, and even in Parliament, when I was in Parliament in 97, 98, is the cost of housing here. And I've got a grave concern about foreign ownership. Government pushes it, great, all this money coming into the country. But is it really helping us? Isn't it about Australians owning their own homes? Yes, we want foreign investment. But is it at the detriment of our kids or families owning their own home? What I would like to do is have an investigation into any properties that are owned by foreign investors, that it is only new properties. You see, under the law, a foreign investor cannot buy an established property. They can only buy a new dwelling. They've got to apply to the Foreign Investment Review Board to even buy an established property. Is this watched? What guarantee do we have? What I propose is that when anyone is buying a property, they must declare that they are an Australian citizen by showing a passport, by showing some form of identification. They fill out a form. The sales assistant person notes that down, their passport number, their birth certificate number, and that's put through to the department to ensure that foreign investors are not buying up established properties. Now, foreign students, they can actually buy properties here in Australia because they've got a visa to do so. But they've got to live in that property. They can't rent it out to anyone else, and they've got to live in it from day one. And once they leave this country, that property has to be sold. But what is happening, that a lot are not selling the properties. They're in the names of their parents. So they go back to their country and still ownership of that property is in their name or their parents' name. So what we need to do is say, how's this checked? Again, if we had the Foreign Investment Review Board working with the Immigration Department, plus also working with the real estate agency, we could then make sure that people are not coming out abusing our laws here, that we haven't got a lot of established housing that is under foreign investment, foreign ownership, driving up the prices, especially in our cities. In Sydney, it's unaffordable. A lot of people can't afford the houses there because it's driven up the prices. Another thing that's driven up the prices of housing is the taxation system. In parts of the country, you'll find that tax has driven up the cost of a house from 32% up to 41% on top of the cost. That constitutes, from 32 to 41%, constitutes the tax that is paid on a house when you're building a house or buying a house, because you're looking at stamp duty, you're looking at GST, you're looking at building costs, you're looking at local council charges. This is all added in the cost. So on a house that you may buy, or an apartment that you might buy, you're looking at costs between $120,000 or even up to $180,000 taxes that you're paying on a house. It's all government revenue. It's all taxing the people more and more. We've got to make housing affordable for Australians. Stop the government grab. Stop this impulse of this stamp duty being accumulated every time a property is sold on to another buyer. We've got to make it fair for Australians.